We're now in James Island on Grimble Road at 1327 Grimble Road at Workman's Cafe Restaurant. And we're here because we're going to do a fundraiser for the Gullah-Geechee Angel Network. And we're here to support Chef B.J. Dennis, who's doing a pop-up Gullah-Geechee dinner.
Gullah and Geechee both are people. They are ethnic groups of people. In the Gullah-Geechee Nation, we are one group of people from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. So our nation encompasses all of what are called the Sea Islands and 30 to 35 miles inland to the St. Johns River. Now, Gullah is also a language. Now, from that language, like any other language of the world, you have a dialect. Geechee essentially is a dialect of the Gullah language. It is also what linguists would call the pidgin or bridge language. So if you heard Gullah, people are cracking teeth like this and thing like that, and yam pun and thing like that, jokes and all that kind of wonder, then Gullah. But now when people start to give us the normal look we get, like, huh? You know, people will say, okay, all right, okay, look young. Put a wine on and thing like that. Forget that, put it and bring them over here so we can have some for Nampa and seasoning. Then you'll start to hear Geechee because people start to now borrow words, take loan words from American English, not unlike Spanglish.
We were all these different tribes that spoke different languages. And so since we needed to communicate with each other to figure out, you know, how are we going to figure our way out of this? You know, one group isn't going to do it alone. So then we came up with what I like to call a common language. Gullah is a common language so that all of these different tribes could speak. You know, you have some of us are descendants of Ashantes, Fulanis, Bassa, Kru, Mande, Malenke, Gizi, Kizi. So I mean, we're really like about, depending on who you're speaking to, anywhere from maybe 15 to 20 different tribes. Some are Igbos, but we needed to speak to each other, so that was really Gullah. That's the language that we came up with, and like I said, between the Middle Passages and being on the Sea Islands, that's when we kind of created this new culture.
It's both Gullah and Geechee. The reason we have those terms is because of the African ethnic groups that were brought over during chattel enslavement that made the foundation for our culture. So we had Angolans who first arrived here directly from the motherland, that their name got cut off, it got sort of denigrated into just being shortened to Ngullah. But when they sold our people on auction blocks, they would say, well, I have a cargo of Gullah for sale. So you first got that usage of the term Gullah about the people, but from Angolans.
To be Gullah is to be fully aware of the connection you have with nature.
And the land is a family member to us, and the waterways are our bloodline. So that has to do with every living element of it. So including the herbs and the bushes that grow, we do use them. We use them more to sustain your health than we use them to have to heal.
You know, we still go to the water, fishing, shrimping. You know, we still hunt. In fact, I am just finishing up some deer meat. You know, so that type of thing, you know, so it's being self-sufficient from the land and the water. We still hold on to those things. Having your own land. When you have your own land, you always have a place to live. You can feed yourself, and then you pass it on to future generations.
Well, I'm a head of state like any other head of state in the world, and my responsibilities as chiefess of the Gullah-Geechee Nation range. They're not only as a spiritual leader, but also as a political leader. So on one evening, I might have an opportunity to sit and really engage with other Gullah-Geechees and just relax and enjoy myself and celebration. But most of the time, I have to travel a great deal. I have to go to other countries of the world and negotiate with these countries, talk about cultural preservation and continuation, talk about human rights. I also represent my people at the United Nations. And so there's any number of things that I have to engage in on any given day.
I would say the difference between Gullah food and a lot of soul food is that we being from the coast, seafood's big in our diet. Oysters, clams, conch, shrimp, creek fish, shark. I mean, that's big in our culture. So I would say, yeah, shrimp and grits, anything seafood. But like I said, there's a lot of food ways that's been lost, like that we're trying to bring back traditions of, you know, taking shrimp heads and drying the shrimp heads out. This was done when my grandfather was young. They would take the shrimp heads and put them in the attic of the house, and it was so hot in the summer they would just dry out. So in the wintertime, his mother would take it with a mortar and pestle, which is traditional West African thing, and pound it out to a powder, and you throw it into your broth. So you get this really aromatic shrimp flavor.
And you find in the churches they have a familiar clap. It's different rhythms at different times. And so it's a clap that gives us, it goes like this. And you'll hear that in most of the churches in the Gullah-Geechee Nation.
You can't go to Detroit and find some Gullah-Geechee people unless they've migrated that way. This is the actual way of life in South Carolina. It's the actual way of living. It's a culture.
We're cutting things, we're picking things, we're chopping wood. We still live a lot of the ways that our elders and our ancestors did. You know, we have the modern amenities, we got electricity, we got air conditioning, all that. But if it goes off, we still know how to survive.